What would you do if I rebooted a classic? Would you try to burn all of TV to the ground? Yeah. Wow, that really did fuck up my throat. Party people in the place to be. What's going on? It's me. Well, we got some news in the world of entertainment, and I don't know how it is so far. The Wonder Years being rebooted with a black family by ABC. Let's just stop right there. I'm gonna stop you right there. Why? But why? Again, I say why. Do we have to reboot things rather than create new things? They can be in the same vein. They can come from the same place. But do we have to reboot them? Can't we just come up with something new? ABC, you've done that before. You've done that with the show called Blackish, which, honestly, is an updated version of The Cosby Show. And that spun off into Grownish, which is an updated version of A Different World. They're not reboots. They don't belong in the same universe. They didn't come from the same universe. We're not following the Huxtables. We're not following Denise. We're following the Blackish and the daughter of the Blackishes. I don't watch it. I don't know. But they're not the same. They don't have to be the same. They don't have to be about the same things. Obviously, you can have shows that are rooted in the same thing, but they're not the same thing. Scrubs isn't ER. ER isn't Chicago Hope. Chicago Hope isn't St. Elsewhere. They don't have to be the same or reboots of the same things. They can even be in the same universe if you want to, but they don't have to be reboots of the same goddamn thing. Create your own. Create your own. Empire co-creator I'm done. That's it. I'm out. I'm immediately out. I'm done. You just done fucked up. Now see, you know you done fucked up, right? With me, you know you done fucked up, right? I'm immediately out. I hate Empire. Empire fucking sucks. I'll say it again for the people in the cheap seats. Empire fucking sucks. So no, you immediately lose me. No, I don't want Lee Daniels attached to this. No, I don't. No, not at all. No, you fucking lost me immediately. I don't want it. I don't need to read the rest of this article to know that I don't want it. Oh, but you haven't seen it yet. Fuck off. I don't want this. You know how I know I don't want this? Because I don't like Lee Daniels. As I don't like Lee Daniels' series work. Butler was fine. But I hated Empire. I fucking hated it. Immediately you fucking lose me. Another beloved yesteryear TV series is being rebooted, and this time with a creative change that could lend an entirely new perspective. ABC is making a pilot for an updated version of The Wonder Years, the 1988 coming-of-age dramedy that ran for 6 seasons and starred Fred Savage as a middle-class suburban teenager growing up during the late 60s and early 70s. The revival will be set during the same time period, except it will focus on a black family in Montgomery, Alabama. Wow! So what we're talking about here is a reboot of I'll Fly Away or In the Heat of the Night or one of those shows. It's not even a reboot of I was gonna say of A Different World, of fucking The Wonder Years. It's not even. The show will be executive produced by Empire co-creator Lee Daniels, while Saladin K. Patterson, The Big Bang Theory. Oh no! Strike 8! No! This pedigree is looking worse and worse. This pedigree is looking worse and goddamn worse. Hold on. Maybe I'm giving Lee Daniels not enough credit. Writer on Empire, Star, The Paperboy, Good People, nothing I'm interested in. Producer on Concrete Cowboy, never heard of it. Terms of Endearment, they're rebooting that? Of course they are. Empire, Star, Culture Clash, this TV movie, not the sketch comedy show from the 90s. Pimp, The Butler, which was actually not bad. Precious, The Woodsman, Monsters Ball, which I've never seen before. So, just from the Empire pedigree, I'm not into this at all. And also, Big Bang Theory, not into that at all. Show me Saladin K. Patterson. Saladin's pedigree includes writing credits on Teen Angel. Everybody's got to start somewhere. The PJs. Oh, okay. That's actually pretty good. Frasier. Okay. Hold on. You may turn me around here. Hold on. Wait a minute. Da-da-da-da-da-da. New challenger has appeared. The Bernie Mac Show. Psych. Okay. 2.5 Men. Looks like the later episodes. So, not the good ones. Not the good ones. Big Bang Theory. There is no such thing as a good one. That show is fucking awful. The Last OG, which I've never seen. So his writing credits, Saladin's actually got a pedigree. I was ready to write him off for The Big Bang Theory because The Big Bang Theory is fucking television trash. But you know, he's got a bit of a writing pedigree here. Let's see his producer credits: Frasier, Bernie Mac Show, Psych, 2.5 Men again, later seasons when they fucking sucked. And but then it falls off with Big Bang Theory, Last OG, and Dave. He's got as far back as, or as early as the late 2000 teens, or the early 2000 teens, some legit credits, some legit quality credits. Not legit as in, oh, these aren't productions, but legit as in quality of his work. He's got a mixed bag. But that's some heavy artillery in the good column. When you're talking Frasier and Bernie Mac Show and Psych, those are some good credits. Those are some really good fucking credits. He'll be the showrunner, and original series co-creator Neil Marlins will be a consultant. So, executive produced by Lee Daniels. Yeah, a little shaky. Saladin's got a better pedigree from what I could see. And they got the original co-creator in as a consultant. Let's continue. Savage is on board as well as a director and executive producer. As in Ben Savage? Or Fred Savage, rather? Hell, they could probably get Ben in there too. He ain't doing anything right now. The official description of the show: how a black middle-class family in Montgomery, Alabama in the turbulent late 1960s, same era as the original series, made sure it was the wonder years for them too. That's interesting. I wonder, here's the thing. It seems like they really are doing this, just from what I'm reading, just because they want to use the fucking narration crutch or narration trope the way the original Wonder Years did. Do they need that though? Could they not have done this without it having to be titled The Wonder Years? Could they not have just done this show and had it not be the Wonder Years? Alabama was the site of many significant events during the American Civil Rights Movement, such as Rosa Parks' defiance of segregation on a public bus in 1955, a white supremacist church bombing in 1973, and the 5-day march from Selma to Montgomery led by Martin Luther King that pushed the government to approve the Civil Rights Act in 1965. Savage being on board is a bit ironic, as the actor has repeatedly slammed the idea of reviving the Wonder Years, though the question has typically phrased as whether he'd want to continue the story with the original cast, not focusing on a different family. My answer will remain the same, so I won't get tired of people asking if everyone else doesn't get tired of me saying, no, it's not going to happen, Savage told Vanity Fair. You know, I've always said that the Wonder Years, it's not the name of the show, it's a time in your life, a very special, finite time in your life. And the way the show was written, it's about looking back with some longing. I think we all look back at that time in our lives and long for it and idealize it. One of the reasons and this, by the way, is immediately tearing apart this idea of doing the Wonder Years with a black family. It immediately does, because I don't think there was a lot of idealizing for black families in the deepest of deep Souths in the fucking 60s. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. The original Wonder Years pilot ends with "When a Man Loves a Woman" blaring as a young Fred Savage, a young Kevin Arnold, kisses the love of his life and immediately makes her the jewel in the heart of so many pubescent boys and a few girls around the country in 1988 as they kiss so innocent, so sweetly. And you all just, if you were older than that when you watched it, it immediately took you back to your first kiss. If you were younger than that when you watched it, as I was, it immediately made me want my first kiss. And if you were at that age, it was just all television goodness. And it was all that idealized stuff. It was so sweet and so pure and so good. And most of the show was kind of like that. Yes, they touched a lot of times tangentially on topics that were going on. Like, really, like the closest thing really was they had his sister went off and experienced the 60s. Right? She left suburbia and experienced all that shit in the 60s and became a hippie before coming back at the end of the show. Like, she went off and occasionally would pop back in and you would see her experiencing the 60s, but then she left and experienced the 60s and left the Arnold clan and that town the way it was. You're not going to get the same thing from a show like this set in the deepest, darkest fucking southern towns in the fucking 60s with a black family. You're just not. You're just not. If you would have done this at any time, you wouldn't have gotten that. In any time, let alone now. And we'll get to that in a second. One of the reasons it makes this kind of mythic, almost haunting quality in our lives is because it's something you can't go back and can't revisit. It only exists in our memories, in our shared experiences with people who went through it with us. That's really what the show was all about. And I think the idea of revisiting the show mirrors that. And I like that. I love all the reboots and revisitations and reimaginings of all these other shows. But I don't think it works conceptually for the Wonder Years. Fred Savage is not particularly wrong in this, even with this new environment, even with this new idea of this is what we'll do with the Wonder Years, we'll put it in a black family. The story continues. The premise of the ABC series arguably makes far more sense than most reboots. However, as focusing on a black family during the same turbulent American time period lends an entirely new and currently quite topical viewpoint on the story. That's the other crux. It's currently quite topical, which will lead to the heaviest of heavy hands coming down on that pen as they write these stories. The heaviest of heavy hands. It's not the same thing. the black reboot, I think, will be nothing but civil rights and KKK and putting out messages in the show that you want to put out in real life. And guess what? You know what? Honestly, that was a hallmark of 80s and 90s television, honestly, including the Wonder Years. Like that was a hallmark of those television shows where one character would say to the boogeyman character, to the representative of what they're actually writing about or who in real life they're actually writing to, and they would give them this big speech or do this big thing or punch somebody or something and make the big deal for the television, and everybody would at home would applaud, or if there was a sitcom laugh or whatever the fuck, right? That all was true. And it wasn't always done well. A lot of times it was done poorly. The times that we remember, well, that's not true. We remember some of the worst ones too. But we do remember some of the best ones too. Like there's a reason why I go back and revisit We Do the Drinking Game to a different world. There's a reason. The reason is because most of the time they're not heavy-handed with it. Most of the time it's particularly natural. The conversations they have, the ideas they bring up, how they bring up those ideas in a very conversational, very realistic way for the time constraints and for the time that they were in. And sometimes just period. Sometimes they just do it very naturally, just period. I don't see it not, especially when you've got the creator of the most overacted show on fucking television as the fucking producer. I don't know how it's not. And then you have Saladin, who the end of his IMDb reads like the shittiest of TV shows fucking on in existence at the time. So like they're popular. They're very popular, and he's, I imagine, rich as fuck. But quality-wise, they suck. Quality-wise, they're fucking terrible. So again, the early part of his career, very, very good. And if he can tap into that, you may have something there. If he can tap into that and he can fight back against Lee Daniels' heavy fucking hand, and Lee Daniels leans more into Lee Daniels' Butler versus Lee Daniels' Empire, then we may actually have something. But we don't know. These are all intangibles that we won't know until the show actually happens. The original Wonder Years had 115 episodes and ran from 1988 to 1993, at which point Fred's brother Ben took over the ABC reins with essentially the same show, just in sitcom form. I talked all about this in the podcast with Trey. Go back and watch that. In addition to Savage as Kevin Arnold, the original starred blah, blah, yada, 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 and Danica McKellar as his girl next door love interest. Danica McKellar, we all fell in love, and she is still fine. Mathematician. Danica, if you're watching, 1 + 1, baby. Let's make that addition. Let's make that addition happen. And yeah, that's the end. So I don't know. Surreal, why are you so bent out of shape about this? I'm a TV junkie. I don't know if you know this about me. I'm a TV junkie. I fucking love watching television. It fucking raised me, including the Wonder Years. So I am not optimistic about this idea for the reasons I stated. There's no way it's not heavy-handed. There's just no way they don't force shit into a spot where it doesn't belong. I have a hard time thinking that they won't. Looking at their resumes, I have a hard time thinking that they won't. And they probably can't because of where they set it. Deepest, darkest fucking South in the 60s with a black family. They can't. They'd have a better time of not being heavy-handed if it was a white family. You know why? Because they can focus on the family dynamic and tangentially, occasionally, dip into the civil rights stuff. They could, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not even saying don't depend on the civil rights stuff, and this isn't a story that doesn't need to be told again. By the way, we got a lot of these stories in the 80s. A lot of these stories that's why I was talking about In the Heat of the Night, I'll Fly Away. There was another one on Lifetime with Annie. What is that? No, it was a different one. But there were some shows. There were definitely some shows back in the 80s and movies. Oh my God, the movies of the week and stuff. We got all of it. By the way, and a lot of it was very well done. A lot of it was very well produced. Some of it was well produced for the time. Some of it was well done for the time. Some of it was well done just to be well done. In the Heat of the Night isn't bad. It's fucking depressing, but it ain't bad. Fucking I'll Fly Away ain't bad. It's fucking depressing, but it ain't bad. That's going to be another thing. That this Wonder Years is going to be depressing every week. It's going to be depressing every week. Fine. Fucking Parenthood was depressing every week. From what I hear, This Is Us is depressing every fucking week. There's a spot for depressing shows on TV. That just happens. Wonder Years wasn't depressing most of the time. It got real, but it wasn't depressing most of the time. Final verdict on this thing. I'm not going to. I think I may backtrack on my initial thing where I immediately said I'm immediately fucking out. Again, because looking at the resumes, I can give. I'm not taking off the table giving this creative staff the benefit of the doubt because they have quality-wise some impressive resumes on the front end. On the back end, I'm very pessimistic. Entirely pessimistic. Also, it didn't have to be called the Wonder Years. It didn't have to be called. Was it going to be called the Black Wonder Years or the New Wonder Years? First off, the new anything, terrible. Terrible. It's awful when you add the new to something. The only new that I could think of that wasn't completely awful, the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. That's it. That's it. So, I don't know what the fuck they're going to call this. The Wonder Years? They can't call it the Black Wonder Years. Wonder Years Alabama? They're going to do like Law and Order and do like Wonder Years segregation. Wonder Years Wonder Years Montgomery. The Montgomery Years. I don't know what the fuck they're going to call it. To be fair, who the fuck knows if this is even going to happen? I could have sat here and talked about this with you as if it's going to happen, and it never fucking happens because the world is ending. I don't know if you notice this. The world is fucking ending. So the whole thing may just never happen. It may just flitter off into the ether like the Coach reboot. Remember there was a Coach reboot? Remember I ran it on for so long that at that point I didn't have the time to put it all in one fucking video, so it had to come up in 3 parts. Where I ranted about Coach being rebooted, and guess what? We never got it. It never happened. Never happened. I wish we could have said the same about fucking Feed Busters. Unfortunately, that fucking happened. But you know, the Coach thing never happened. So maybe I'm ranting about nothing. Or maybe this actually happens, and maybe they fucking fast track it. And maybe it's not good. I won't completely write it off yet, but I'm not optimistic about it. Not optimistic. Party people, I am optimistic that you will tell me down there in the comments section what you think about the Wonder Years reboot possibly happening. Am I overreacting? I've asked that question quite a bit over the years. Sometimes I have. At the beginning, you could make an argument that yes, I did. I don't know that I did this time. I need you to let me know what you think down there in the comment section. Do you think this, first off, do you think it'll happen? Secondly, do you think it is a good idea? Third, do you think it will be good? And what will it be called? That's the other big question, is what would you call the Black Wonder Years reboot? Other than the Black Wonder Years reboot. Tell me what you think down there in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. Do me a favor, go to patreon.com/surreal469. That's patreon.com/surreal469. Also, Subscribe Star. Yeah, there's a Subscribe Star link down there. You can go down there to help keep the on at the party. And that, party people, unlike my expectations for this show, ain't bad. You think this is a great cocktail. Cheers.
I'm a nice guy, I'm a nice place, with a nice smile on my nice face. Turn it back and I'm making sure my night's straight. And when you're out of town, I'll be making sure your wife's straight.